What's up, guys? I'm Hero, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about the endgame of Blue Protocol Star Resonance, because I think a lot of people are a bit misled by the closed beta test with how we're getting content every single day or every other day, and have not really looked at China because they're not interested or it's in Chinese or whatever. But I think it's actually quite important to look at China because, well, that's where the main game happens. We're just like getting the things that China already has. And they basically have the most up-to-date version, of course, of the game. And yeah, I think it is really worrying what we're seeing in China with the content right now, because, well, if you've looked at any streamer or checked the game out for yourself in China or even had a look in the CBT, you have seen master dungeons and pretty much only master dungeons, because there really isn't that much other content in the game right now. There are like some other things in the game which I'll get to later, but basically you're gonna do the master dungeons, which are not quite different from the normal dungeons, just for higher item level gear, and that is basically the same as we're doing right now on the CBT, just with higher item level. And yeah, a little bit about me. I've played the CBT quite a bit, and I've also checked out the Chinese server and did master dungeons there. So yeah, even me, I don't have that much experience. It was a cakewalk to do any of the master dungeons, and people will actually speedrun them there. Played both the CBT and CN for quite a bit, and as you can see, I've been grinding out my character actively. I have like all the refinement stuff and actually grinded out some decent stats for my character. And on CN, I basically checked out the master dungeons for a bit. I didn't quite go into depth and grinded out my character for weeks. I basically checked it out during the CBT to get some impressions from there. I just wanted to check out how the game has progressed there and get some more information initially, but then I also discovered about the actual state of the endgame in China. And yeah, it is quite worrying, because as of yet, our content is not that much different from China on the CBT. Basically, there's like one big thing that is different is there is this weekly dragon fight or dragon fights that you can actually do from here. But right now on the CBT, there's nothing. On CN, there will be quite a lot of NPCs here. You can actually challenge the dragons. It's a 20-min raid, but it's a weekly lockout, and you can get rewards once. So it's actually like, yes, it is a nice activity, but it's not going to take much of your time, and since it's a weekly thing, you're actually not going to spend that much time there. So what are you actually going to do in the endgame of Star Resonance? Well, for once, there are the master dungeons, and maybe you've noticed that when you actually go to the dungeon area, whatever, where you enter the dungeons, you can actually choose the master difficulty. In the closed beta, we will not have access to the master difficulty because the closed beta just ends before we actually get access through the time gating mechanic. So they would actually be open in 2 days, but by then the closed beta servers will be closed, so we won't be able to access them. But from China, we know what they look like, and I can tell you they are not different at all. Like, if you're expecting any significant change, it's just not there. It's basically just increase of gear score, and maybe you have like one extra mechanic, or the mechanics are a bit less forgiving, but that is basically it. And the balancing right now is so poor on CN that people will just speedrun these dungeons, and you can actually ignore every mechanic there is, because you're just one phase the boss, you don't play any mechanics, and yeah, you just go in, kill everything, and go out. And yeah, like 3-4 minutes in a bad group, even like I did some matchmaking and it took like maybe 3 minutes. But yeah, you're out, and that is basically like the thing in the endgame where you spend the most amount of your time is actually just running these dungeons, because, well, as you know, you get like reforge stones from here, and they're also on a weekly lockout, so you can't even grind them forever. And on master dungeon, master 1 to 5 drops eye level 60 gear and 60 reforge stones, and master 6 to 10 drops eye level 80 gear and drops the level 80 reforge stones. And the perfection actually becomes more difficult with higher item level. So, you know, we put the reforge stones in to perfect our gear, to increase the stats. And I believe the amount stays the same, but the amount you need, but the amount of perfection you get from one stone is basically a lot less. So from my observations, you get maybe like 5 perfection from one. So you need like 20 taps to plus 100 to perfect something to 100. But you'll have the same amount of stones, so it takes quite a lot longer to perfect one set of gear. And that, and obviously getting the gear in the first place is like your main reason for going into these dungeons. You know, like here you have level 40 gear and master the first master 1 to 5. You get the same type of gear from the same dungeon, and it's just 20 item levels higher. And the sad thing about it doesn't even look any different. Like, it's the same freaking gear. It looks the exact same. It just has higher stats. Like, the icons are the same. Nothing changes about your outfit. And yeah, so it's actually very uninspiring. And this, like farming your refresh stones weekly, doing the daily dungeon, which in China here, if I go into matchmaking in China, we'll kill the boss in 30 seconds. So that is actually quite quick too, and very, very boring. You just hop in, and the matchmaking takes longer than to do the dungeon. And depending on what class you are, for master it's basically the same. Like, of course, the higher master tiers might be a little bit longer, but you also have time limits for the higher master tiers of 7 minutes and 40 seconds, so you can't even go any longer. So you're like, it is implied that you're like kind of speed running it. And that being the end game design for this type of game, I think is very, very poor. I think like being in matchmaking for longer than you're actually in the dungeon is like very, very poor. And it's quite bad design, because I really don't like speed running through a dungeon. I like at least a little bit of challenge and not feeling that overpowered compared to the content that you're clearing. But yeah, this is the way they've balanced it right now. And I think overall, like, they are having quite some balancing issues. We've seen it with the wolf bow. They are like rebalancing it a little bit, but players on CN are still complaining and are not happy. And there's a lot of bugs. We've seen a patch just the other day with like 30 bug fixes. It's good that they're working on it, but yeah, we're seeing that the developers right now, they're not very experienced, or they're like lacking in some department where these problems are created by the developers, and then they'll have to fix them because maybe they lack experience with this type of game or this content. And yeah, I really hope that they'll change things up regarding the dungeons, because I really don't like waiting in queue maybe 10 minutes or trying to find a party and then you're just clearing it in 3 minutes. That's really kind of boring. And yeah, besides that, and the dragon raids, like doing the weekly, like getting a refresh stones, at first of course getting the gear, and then doing the weekly dragons. You know, you have like your daily grind of doing the commissions here. They are really uninspiring, and really, yeah, they don't change really a lot. If you've played the CBT, you know, you've done a lot of them like 3 times already, or 4 times, 5 times. And there really aren't a lot of them. And then, you know, for life skilling, yeah, you can wait 5 days and then you'll have something to do. But other than that, like getting rid of those 400 points, it's like 20 gathering a day, which is like, yeah, maybe a few minutes of your time. And then, yeah, like, you know, there really isn't that much else to do. Sorry. So yeah, this is like quite worrying, because you won't really have much reason to keep playing the game after you've done your dailies and your weeklies. You basically, like, if you've done all of your weeklies, you're just logging in for your daily, do the commissions, do the daily dungeon, and then if you don't want to spend your life skill energy on the day, you're more or less basically done. Like, you can wait on your keys, you can do them every 3 days, you can wait on your life skill energy, do them every 5 days. So there's basically nothing to like have you do anything in the game past the like basic necessity. And I wouldn't even want to like do some of these things every day. I think it's like better to actually store up some life skill energy, or store up some keys. It's like much more chill. You're already in the place, you're clearing multiple times, bam, you're done. Like and it's really fast too. So yeah, I can only hope that we'll get like more content added, and many CN players are looking forward to season 2 and what they are doing with the game. But as it currently stands, the game on WeGame app, which is a Chinese app where you can launch a game through, the rating is 31%. Of course, the launch was pretty poorly, technical launch, so many players also disliked because of that. But there are a lot of comments on there. There's almost 8,000 reviews, and people are saying bad things about the gameplay, not about technical stuff. I think this technical stuff is already like a bit overblown, and at the end of the day, everything people care about is the gameplay. And if the gameplay is good, nobody will care about some launch issues. As long as the game runs fine after that, like not getting randomly locked out or whatever, which still apparently does happen on CN sometimes. I think they still have, like, as I said, they have like a lot of bugs coming up, and people are saying like there's one bug they're fixing, and for that another one comes up, which is like, I guess it's understandable for them, like being kind of new in the game. But yeah, it would be nice if that's like, if we actually knew this is improving over time, same as with like all the other stuff. I've seen a lot of people talking in the suggestions, giving really good suggestions about the game, but what is worrying me is that there are so many things that could be better with the game, that people think is wrong with the game, that the list is just so big. It's like not likely that they're gonna address a lot of these issues, given that they've launched the game in that state. Like, if they actually wanted to provide more stuff and have the game be like more diverse and more polished, they could have just waited. I mean, pretty sure like with Tencent backed stuff, I don't know how actually the money flows there, but they do have like a big backer with Tencent. But yeah, I guess they just wanted to push it out, maybe because they wanted to ride the Blue Protocol hype train. And I mean, the game does look pretty nice, and that is like the main draw for me to the game, that the models are actually really cool, and the customizability and everything. I love the avatars, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm really kind of worried about the future of the game, and if they actually address a lot of the stuff that is wrong with the game, or if we're actually just gonna get, like, as you can, I can actually show you right now, but on CN we can see that for the Master Dungeon you actually have 20 tiers, so we can reasonably expect that we'll have 2 more item level tiers after item level 80 to grind in these dungeons. So we grind Master Dungeon 1 through 20 for 4 different item level tiers, doing the same dungeons over and over and over for gear that looks the same with just the number changes. And that is like, it does not burst of like quality or anything, just feels very, very lazy. And this thing will get boring, in my opinion, very, very quickly. And we can already see people on CN at day 50, they are bored with the game. They are just repeating the same thing over and over. So at the end of the day, after they've done all their stuff, they already have their gear. They're just logging in for their daily stuff or their weekly stuff, and that's it. So you're basically at that point just playing a gacha game in an MMO-like environment. And yeah, that's like okay, but I don't think that's what many people have wished for from this game, which is why we're seeing all of these suggestions of making it more MMO-like, giving us more things to do. And I really hope they can change it in that direction, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, make suggestions, and hope for the best. Yeah, I don't know what else to add. You can, of course, tell me your thoughts and suggestions and feelings in the comments. And yeah, that is basically all I have to say for now on this topic. If you have any questions, of course, you can leave them in the comment. And yeah, that is it from me for now. Thank you for watching. Here out.